In this project, we'll be using the following materials. We will be using a Rubbermaid 12-inch track bracket. We will also be using Rubbermaid utility single track upright. You can also use twin track uprights, shelves, and brackets. You will also need 3-inch gold zinc screws. Hi, my name is Mo, and today I'm going to show you how to put up shelves. So, I have this wall space that I've cleared expressly for the purpose of putting up shelves. And since I recently moved home from law school, I need a place to put up all of my books. So the first thing I had to do in this location was to figure out where my studs were. Because if I'm going to put up bookshelves, I'm going to need to affix them to something that's going to be able to hold the weight. And hopefully my 2x4 behind, which the drywall hangs on, will be able to support that weight. And so what I got to do is figure out how far I am from the corner. And by theory, normally 2x4s or the studs are placed every 16 inches. And what I did was I started over here, and from 16 inches, I decided to drill a little very small hole. And I didn't hit anything, so I went 1 inch on either side. On the other side of the 16-inch mark, I was able to find it. So I drilled in and I found it, and I did it in a very inconspicuous area where the little drill marks couldn't be noticed. You don't want to do this in an area where it can be seen. So once I found the stud rather, I decided to go farther out, and from 16 inches from that original stud that I just found, I drilled another hole, and lo and behold, I found the stud behind it. I went another 16 inches, and I drilled another hole, and on the first try, I found another stud. So I found all the studs that I'm going to need to place my shelves on over here. The next step is to get the materials that I'm going to need to actually make the shelves with. Here, I decided to use these rails. These rails will hang on the studs as such and will be affixed to the studs by screws. And I am deciding, or I opted to use 3-inch wood screws, gold wood screws. And that's how I'm gonna connect these. And the point is, these little brackets right here, these shelf arms connect to these rails, and they form the shelf. And I have 2 or 3 of these going along. In this case, I'm gonna have 3 of them, and you can already see the holes that are ready there for the 2x4s to go on. We're gonna get this up, and let's take a look. So I'm gonna put these up right now. Always make sure your ladder is safe and it has good bearing. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to countersink this hole, which means I'm just going to screw or drill a hole in it, roughly a little bit smaller, about the size of an actual screw that's going to go in there, so I don't split or crack the wood as I'm going in with the screw. Because I am going with 3-inch screws. So what I've done, and I've marked all these holes, is I've made sure to, I know that I'm going to have the first hole right here correspond at 11 inches from the bottom of this molding, this crown molding. And I want it to be 15.5 inches from the left of it. It's right there, and when I set the second one to find the second stud, and again, be right there at 31 inches and at 47 inches, 16 inches from each other. And again, I make sure that I'm exactly the same length. So everything's going to be even when I put the rails up, and all of the slats correspond right on point.
It's not only okay
what I'm going to do now is make sure all my distances on the bottom correspond with the distances on the top that are away from the wall, which makes sure that I stay on the stud. Make sure my lines are level and that my lines are straight. And I'm going to do that with all three of these. And I've done that with this one already. And I'm going to do that with this one, and this one. Right. What I'm going to do on these lower studs is just screw them in with smaller screws, 1.5 inch screws, just to lock them in for the time, just to make sure I have the distances right. I hit wood from the back, so I know. Sasquatch. Hey, so now that I've gotten the top and the bottom screws into the 2x4 and they're fairly level, I'm going to just screw in all of the rest of the screws, and without any measurement, because I know they're all going to go into the 2x4s or to the studs behind, and I'm going to have a strong backing. Alright, let's do that. You can see I've got some of these brackets up already. And I'm just trying to see how much distance I needed between the top and the bottom one. And most standard books are no bigger than a foot in height. So I'm accounting for just about a foot. And what I'm looking for is underneath this. But my books won't go all the way to the back, so I have the foot right here. Now, this is not to say that I'm going to have the tallest books are 11 inches. No taller than a foot, and I got just a foot right here. I'm going to go with that. So, we've got a few of these brackets up now, and we want to try to see if these shelves will start to fit. And so we're going to put a couple and see how it looks. As you can see, I've put up the top 3 shelves on both sides, and they fit pretty perfectly. Not perfectly. Perfectly is an overstatement. But I'm gonna, as this video continues on, I'm gonna set anchors with L brackets on these backs, so they're gonna just level along with these, and I'm gonna connect the two. I'm gonna do the same thing with that. That was off by just 1/4 inch, but that's probably because the wall's isn't straight. But our distance-wise, we're just absolutely dead on. So I'm pretty happy with our results. All right. Stay tuned for our next segment.